Square Enix announced a double whammy of awesome at the end of the recent Nintendo Direct with not one, but two HD-2D games. The Adventures of Elliot is amazing. I mentioned in my video about Tomoya Asano and his HD-2D games that he should do an action RPG with the aesthetic, and he's delivering. In fact, the announcement was so exciting it made me finally unbox the Switch 2 I bought at launch just to play the game's demo that shadow dropped on the same day. And one of the first things I discovered as I was fooling around in the game was this. Okay, maybe that's not too exciting, but I had a lot of fun in the demo. The final game is supposed to have 7 weapon types, but the demo let me use a sword, bow, scythe, and bombs. When I found a better sword, it also upgraded the moveset strength of the weapon a tier, which tells me the same is probably the case for other weapons. There were some fun dungeon environments to explore and a variety of enemies that sometimes required a little thinking to defeat. The 2 boss fights in the demo were fun too, and the enemies reacted interestingly to different weapons. Like this enemy here did to my bombs in classic Zelda Dodongo style. I mean, let's be honest, he was asking for it, especially after the game tutorial showed me how to deal with some vacuum traps using bombs shortly before the boss fight. The Magicite system lets you customize your weapons to a degree and has its own tier levels in regards to the bonuses it confers. The Zelda aspect of the game came largely into play with the Fairy's moveset, which lets you warp to her position or dash quickly. Both of these skills can be used to solve puzzles or reach places you want to be. The dash move is particularly useful simply for fast traversal. A second player is apparently able to control the Fairy too, but it seems more like a gimmick than something that would actually be fun. The Adventures of Elliot has shrines with challenges that reward players at the end. You can strategically warp behind an enemy to deliver a more powerful surprise attack. The game lets you guard against attacks with stamina depleting for each guard, but if you guard with perfect timing, you can also turn the tables on enemies. When Team Asano sends the surveys, I definitely have things to say, but just for the sake of this video, I'll share my thoughts here too. I love the boss fights in this game. The first one I did pretty easily, and the second one I did before the end of the demo caught me by surprise enough to KO me. This fight was easily my favorite part of the game too. The different weapon types I got to experiment with in the demo were fun with their quirks, and using the more powerful attacks with them typically just required holding in the attack button longer to charge them, like in Secret of Mana. I wish it were easier to switch weapons faster than the shortcuts allow. Rune Factory Guardians of Ozma sort of spoiled me with this, and it was nice to be able to save different sets of Magicite bonuses, but it would also be nice to have those sets tied to different weapons when they switch too. These changes would make the action gameplay much more fluid and reduce the necessity to go into menus too much. I also didn't use the shield much, and it didn't feel like I needed to. Maybe they'll rebalance the game to make it more challenging, giving me more reasons to actually risk using the shield over simply avoiding attacks. I'm not a huge fan of comparing games when I describe them, but if you've ever played classic Ys, like Ys 1, 2, or 3, I personally love Ys 3. Anyways, this game gave me huge classic Ys vibes, with just enough of the puzzle elements from Zelda to intrigue me rather than annoy me, like a lot of Zelda games do. Also, like Zelda, Elliot doesn't level up with experience points, but rather can increase his max health bar and earn higher capacity of bombs and arrows. His attack power increases by finding better weapons and Magicite. The combat vibes reminded me, as silly as this may sound, to Secret of Mana, with how the weapons tier up and you can hold in the attack buttons even longer to deliver even more devastating attacks. I'd be surprised if there were 8 tiers with their unique attacks like there is in Secret of Mana, but I'm excited to see how the weapon attacks evolve as they get stronger. It's also a pretty neat mechanic to earn combos as you kill enemies without getting hit, which also increases the rewards you get from combat. The demo for The Adventures of Elliot got me as hyped as the Bravely Default 2 demo did when that dropped, and coincidentally, Claytechworks, the same developers of Bravely Default 2, are working with Team Asano to create The Adventures of Elliot, so I'm really looking forward to playing this one. One other interesting fact about this game is that it's a proper new generation, brand new IP action JRPG being released on Switch 2, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC in 2026. Could this game have been released on the regular Switch or the PS4 based on what I played in the demo? Probably, but I don't know the scope of the game either, just from playing the demo. All I know is that I'll be ready to play the next demo if Team Asano releases it. If you have a Switch 2, the demo is currently available and free to play. While The Adventures of Elliot was definitely exciting, the announcement of Octopath Traveler 0 immediately afterwards just instantly made it worth watching the entire Nintendo Direct for me. Octopath Traveler 2 was the only game last generation to crack my top 10 JRPG list in over 2 decades, so of course I'm going to be really excited for this game. And, just like I mentioned in my Tomoya Asano video, how it would be awesome if Team Asano could actually make an 8-person active party work in battle in a future Octopath Traveler game, they're actually doing it in this game. Now, whether it works or not is yet to be seen, but I love seeing them do new things with the Octopath Traveler formula. For people who didn't like the whole 8-story narrative structure of the Octopath Traveler games, I think you're crazy. But seriously, it looks like Octopath Traveler 0 has only 2 major plot lines in the game instead that reflect, in my opinion, some of the best things about the narratives in Octopath Traveler. And that's their ability to be as wholesome as a cheerful coming-of-age journey to the end of a story like with Agnia from Octopath Traveler 2, or as dark as navigating a twisted and terrifying underworld like with Throne from the same game. In Octopath Traveler 0 though, your choices are an optimistic optimistic tale of rebuilding and restoration, or a story of revenge against those responsible for orchestrating the destruction of your hometown. Given that this is an Octopath Traveler game, I doubt the story is going to end after completing both of those storylines too. I've never played the mobile game, but according to producer Hirohito Suzuki, the game's story will follow familiar themes from the mobile game of wealth, power, and fame. Anyway, since I don't play mobile games, it'll be all new to me and I'm eating it up. Octopath Traveler 0 also lets you create your own main character in the story and takes place on the same continent of the first game before the events in that game. There will be over 30 playable characters. The battle system looks wild. It seems like your characters fight in units of 2 and their actions are somewhat linked. This seems to me like a great way to do it, as Xenoblade Chronicles 3 had a similar, more action-based system that executed this idea really well. If this game offers the same kind of freedom that the other two Octopath Traveler games did with how you can go to high-level areas early in the game, I'll probably love it. Octopath Traveler 2 is probably the best open, non-open world game I ever played, with all the freedom you had to go just about anywhere without being locked behind story. As excited as I am for this game, the developers are a company called Doki Doki Grooveworks. They developed Nier version, I'm not reading that number, and a stinker called Various Daylife, so I don't really know what to expect about the quality of this game. But I personally remain very optimistic. Octopath Traveler 0 releases on December 4th, 2025 for Switch, Switch 2, PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox Series X, S, and Steam. This release date may seem like a release date that gives up holiday sales missing Black Friday, and you could interpret it as Square not expecting big things from this game. But Xenoblade Chronicles 2 released on December 4th in 2022 and ended up selling like gangbusters. So yeah, we are officially in HD-2D heaven. I actually made an entire video on Tomoya Asano's games, which I'll link below. Between the HD-2D remakes of Dragon Quest 1 and 2, Octopath Traveler 0, and the Adventures of Elliot, there's a lot to look forward to if you're as big a fan of this aesthetic as I am. Thank you for watching and have a great day.